Okay, now let's create some posts to our blog. So we're going to write some code that will enable us to create a post, see a post, edit and delete them. So the blog post will have a title and a description, and we'll store them in a database. So when a user submits a post, it gets to store somewhere, and when someone else visits the site, they can read the post. Okay, so it's very straightforward and very simple. We'll use the Rails G Scaffold command. So if you type in Rails, if you go to the command line, just type in Rails G Scaffold, type enter. It won't actually do anything, but it'll just give us more explainer text. So the main thing we need to understand is how to do it. So it's Rails generate scaffold file bar, the object name. So Rails will call this posts, followed by a title and a description attribute. So if you go to the bottom of the page, I'll scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see some examples here. So for us, it would be Rails generate scaffold post, which is the name of the object, title, which is an attribute, and body, an attribute, and we need a type. Need to give it a type as well. So this would be a type of string, which is just basically words, and text, which allows us to use longer text. Okay, so let's type in Rails. You can just type in Rails G as well. Scaffold post, title, string, body, text. Okay, so when we run this, it will generate all the files needed for our application. It also gives a style sheet, which we don't need because we're using Bootstrap. So just add dash no style sheets. And press enter. Okay, so from a technical point of view, Ruby implements something called Model View Controller, MVC for short. So it splits up the process of getting information and presenting it to the user. So as you can see, it's created a database. This is the time and date that it's created. This is our database called Post. So this will basically hold all the data for a web application. So for example, if you had a list of book names, be kept in this model. So it's given us a number of views as well. Index view, edit view, show view, new view, and a form. So this displays the data. This is what the user sees, usually in form of the H2L templates. So we'll just look at this later on. And it's also given us a post controller as well. So think of this like a head coach, someone who calls the shots. So they gets data from the model and then sends it to the view and vice versa. So it allows us to edit, delete, and read the data. Okay, so let's go into this migration. We can just view this migration atom by going to Db Migrate. So let's see, it's given us a table called posts. It's created two fields, one called title and one called body. So in a way, it's defining the structure. Okay, so let's go back to our terminal. Some things we need to do to make sure this works properly. So let's go to rake roots. So by doing this scaffold, it's given us new roots. As you can see, we've got a new post, edit post, post show, post update, and we could actually now start creating some blog posts. So let's go to, let's try and create our first ever blog posts. So as you can see, it's got /posts. So let's go to our browser and type in localhost 3000/posts. And as you can see, it's given us an error. So it's saying that the microblog development doesn't exist. So it's saying that the database does not exist. So we actually need to create the database first. So let's go to rake db create. So that's the command line to create a database. So as you can see, it's creating the database. It's also given us a test database as well. So let's go back to Google Chrome. Let's see what happens if we refresh the screen now. Okay, so it's saying migrations are pending. To resolve this issue, run Rails DB Migrate. So the table is not being migrated yet. So let's go to our terminal and just type in rake db migrate. Okay, so as you can see, it's created a table called posts. So let's go back to our Google Chrome page and type, and then refresh the page. And finally, it's given us a post page, and as you can see, it's got our title attribute and our body attribute and something called new posts, which refers to the post's new action on our rake routes. Post new, so that's how we create a new post. So let's create some example new posts. Let's go first log some text. So as you can see in the URL, it's got posts new and a create post button there. So it's created our first post with the ID of 1. Let's go back. As you can see, it's given us a show, edit and destroy links as well. So let's create another one. Some more text. So as you can see, Ruby on Rails has actually automatically generated an ID. So let's say we want to do 200. It'll give us an error because that doesn't exist in our database. So let's say we wanted to edit this post. It'll go to the edit URL. And then update the post here. So it's very easy, straightforward to create a scaffold that allows you to create, read, update posts. So that's how you create the posts. So let's go to our Trello board and just write down what we've done. So the first thing we did was the Rails G scaffold. Then we added our attributes and gave it a name. And then we did the rake Db create, followed by the rake Db migrate. And you can also do rake routes as well to look at the routes that it's created. And we talked about MVC, which is Model View Controller. Excellent. So in the next video, we'll go through the scaffold code that's created